We are a loving and compassionate, world-class teaching and empowerment ministry. Through a consciousness of universal God presence, we release all resistance, separation, and fear. We claim our personal liberation and accept the eternal availability of joy, love, and abundance. Through our intention to be love and spread joy, we engender reflections of the same and more in others. Our ministry is a gift to the world, which expands through our practice and dedication. We welcome all people, and together we make a quantifiable, positive difference on the planet. And so it is.
Family, what a blessing to be with you all. As always, God, I miss you guys so much. But as I allow myself to be present, I know that wherever I am in the kingdom of heaven, and that's what matters. So I'm being present here in Miami as I celebrate loveisloveworldwide.com. Check it out. 24 hours, 24 regions, 400 artists. It's incredible what we can do when we are present and available to just love on each other. That's what I'm practicing right now. I know that you are doing the same. Yeah. Be here. Be here now. Be here now. As the world reposes and wrinkles, ebb and flow, wild winds sweep, and the earth quakes below. As the rain comes, water rises, come to smooth your mountain, sing hallelujah. As the fire burn away what we thought we owned. Sing hallelujah. And let the stream recall how we've come forward. Yeah. Hallelujah. Oh my God. Must be here now. You must be here, yeah. Universal divine essence, we give thanks. We show up first and always in gratitude that we know who and whose we are. We are the divine watcher, not the experiences or the circumstances. We are indeed 100% divine, grade A God at all times. And to the degree that we choose to be aware of it is the degree that we are both the source and the sorcerer. Lord God, we give thanks for this awareness in this moment as we allow ourselves to just be present, to be here now. Ashe and amen. Let us express our talents across the world and inspire one another. Be here. And we will be here right now. Be here now, be here now. Oh, be here. My God, use me now. Hallelujah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Use me now. Yes. Ashe and amen. I give thanks.
Good morning, heart and soul. So that was Jen Johns with Be Here Now. And that's a powerful invitation, if you will, to remind us that there really is something about grounding ourselves in present time, in this very moment. Even in our meditation, we heard practitioner Ron Marshall say that I am as I have been. I am as I am right now, and I am as I will be simultaneously, so that there is this experience of us being and us having an awareness that in this now moment, it's all happening. My past is present. My future is unfolding, that it's all in this now moment. So this is truly an adventure in faith. Yes, heart and soul. If anything, sometimes I feel that maybe I should offer an excuse, I guess, really is what it amounts to. I was trying to choose other wording. But if you're like just joining us for the very first time, thank you for being here. If you have been with us just consistently across time, then what you will realize is that there are those slides and images and quotes and concepts that I will repeat from time to time and ongoingly. And I just blame it on the trainer in me. Y'all know that my corporate background was training, and so part of training and teaching is the repetition. So we just gonna pretend like that's what it is. We just gonna act like that's exactly how I got here. So on this adventure in faith, let me just say that I'm on one. And so a lot of what happens on a Sunday morning is born out of the experience of my adventure in faith. So look at here. Very often on Sunday mornings, I'm playing whatever my heart is open to. There's something that I ask Alexa to play while I'm busy doing my morning routine. So I have already prepped the talk, if you will, and I'm just wanting to be energetically present to the flow, energetically present to the flow so I can be in whatever is next, however I'm called to be. And so this morning, and it's not unusual for me to go to the rock. That's not unusual at all for me, because there's something about the song and the lyrics that really get me there. It's part of my preparation, if you will, on occasion. Sometimes it's something else. Sometimes it's, there's a whole playlist that's a part of the opportunity. And today, though, it was me asking Alexa to just repeat that. Just repeat that. And then I began to imagine that she just decided, you know what, I'm just going to repeat it for her because she just keep asking for this. But what my experience was in the song is this awareness. Last week, I kind of was out there. I found myself out on the limb, and it felt like without a net or just out there. And really challenging my own concept and challenging yours as well, our beliefs around heaven and hell, and how we see that, how we feel it, how we integrate it in our lives. And so my thought was that this was a bit of a part two, because I thought, maybe I had a little more work that I ought to do around that with y'all. And then really kind of clarifying some of the stuff I said. But then as I was listening and singing along to I Go to the Rock, I got another insight. I got an insight that the lyrics in I Go to the Rock are really supporting me in my understanding of how it is truly done unto me as I believe, which is why we got to get this thing straight about what do we believe about heaven and what do we believe about hell? What do we believe about our lives? What do we believe about where we are? What do we believe about who we are? What do we believe about whose we are? What do we believe? Because why? It is truly done unto us as we are believing. As I yet believe, my life unfolds. I am who I have been. I am who I am now. I am who I will be based on what I believe. What did the master teacher, Yeshua, that the world ultimately came to call Jesus? It is done unto you as you believe. So, look, some of the lyrics that I just, I know a lot of you know the song and could, sing it right here for us. This notion of where it begins, and I was listening to Whitney Houston sing it, and she begins it, and I don't know the musical term, but it's almost as if she's just talking about it. She begins very, very soft. Her tone and volume is very soft as she asks, where do I go when there's nobody else to turn to? Well, you see, that depends on what you believe, doesn't it? I mean, I'm trying to work with us with this. Where you go depends on what you believe. Who do I talk to when nobody wants to listen? Now, I know some of you just going to make them listen. That's what you do. I need to talk, and so you going to listen. But there's a larger question and a greater opportunity. There's a deeper place where I think we could go if we wanted to, but where we go depends on what you believe. Who do I lean on when there's no foundation stable? Dare I say it again? It depends on what you believe, where you go, who you mess with, where you lean. I go to the rock of my salvation. And then it occurred to me, and I think probably part of my favorite line is, I run to the mountain, and the mountain stands by me. Now, that's a belief. There's no reason to believe that any of us are literally putting on our running shoes and running up to a mountain, and that's going to make the difference. I don't think there's a one of us that believes that. We know it's a metaphor. We know it's an idea that I go to a stable place. I go to a place that is established. But you see, what's established in you is a function of what you believe. I'm trying to get there, that anything we're going to be up to has everything to do with what we believe. So I run to the mountain, and the mountain stands by me. That is me believing that's a safe place. That's me believing, because somebody could say there's lions and tigers and bears, oh my, up on the mountain. But somebody else would say that's a place of refuge. I go to the mountain, and they're thinking metaphorically that I go to a higher place in consciousness. That I go to a place where I can be higher in consciousness, where it's quieter. Because the higher you go in consciousness, the more space there is, so to speak. Now, you understand this is all metaphorical. There is no place in consciousness. Consciousness does not have an address. But when you are claiming, when you are at a point in consciousness where it's cleared out. You see, that's what we hope to accomplish in the meditation, is that you could sit in the spaciousness where your thoughts fall away, where your concerns and your challenges fall away, where they don't have prime real estate, where they're not lighting up your brain waves. I hope that makes sense. Does any of that make sense for y'all? Put it in the chat so they can signal me if this isn't making sense. But the idea here is that we are up to something intentionally, but we may not be able to access it. See, there's a dream in your life. Your heart's desire is awaiting the opportunity to unfold as your life, according to what you believe. See, if you believe that there's nobody to talk to, and so there you go. Can't do it, can't be it, can't have it. Because there was nobody for me to talk to. Now, you know that's some of our story. We grew up believing that there was nobody there for us in the ways that we needed. So now if somebody sees the family picture and photograph and if they grew up with you, they may challenge it. They're like, I was over at their house. She had all kind of people. There were siblings, there were parents, there were extended family. But you see, if you feel you don't have anybody to talk to, if you feel you don't have anywhere to go that's safe, then you don't. Why? Because it's done unto you as you are believing that. As you're believing that, the possibilities are invisible to you. And there's always something. There's always the mountain. That's just my favorite line in the song. I run to the mountain, and the mountain stands by me. I hurry up and get to wherever it is I need to get in order for me to have the kind of peace that is required in order to have the harvest that I intended. So I get that I am maybe overloading you with metaphors at this point. Just know I'm not done yet. That this notion of taking personal responsibility, being aware that in any given moment, it's not enough. In fact, it's irrelevant. And I don't mean any offense as I say this to anyone who is challenged with family and perceptions of family and who's doing what or who's not doing what. I overstand. I absolutely overstand. Here's what I got to tell you. Each of us is responsible for what we believe. You know, Ernest Holmes offered us that clarity by reminding us that what we think are our barriers are but thoughts. So they're not barriers in themselves, they're what we're believing about it. We're believing that situation at home, that situation at school, that situation wherever kept us from our good. You got to know by now that for somebody else, those situations similar to yours, and often you say, Lord, that's even worse. That was somebody else's motivation. That was what they cite is the reason that they got up and got it done. The homelessness is what stopped somebody. Stop them in their tracks. The homelessness is exactly what propelled somebody else. It's done unto you it's done unto all of us as we believe. And look at here, James Baldwin, who offered us that any real change, and on this adventure in faith, there's going to be change. There's going to be change. For real, there's going to be change. And the greater your prayer, like the bigger your vision, the more expansive your intention, the more change there's going to be. And dare I say, this change, your prayer, your vision for your life is going to rock your world. That's what James Baldwin is saying. That whatever that is, that change that you're praying for, and can it be different, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes, that is rocking your world. That very prayer, it doesn't just imply the breakup of the world, it ensures the breakup of the world as you've known it. It's just that in our ignorance, we aren't thinking about the consequences. I've said over and over and over, y'all know that everybody wants the wings of the butterfly, and don't nobody want to be in the cocoon. But there's no getting there. There's no getting to the beauty of the butterfly. That we all are in awe. A butterfly comes and it lights there, and we stop the conversation. Oh, the butterfly. But none of us, I've never come across anybody who had the same response to the caterpillar or the cocoon. Just, oh my goodness, the cocoon. But there's no getting to this, to the awe inspiring experience of being in the presence of a butterfly without having the caterpillar experience and the cocoon experience. The chrysalis, the full process, is what we're talking about. He says, James Baldwin reminds us that it's the loss of all that gave us identity. That's who we think we are. I am who I have been. I am who I am now, and I am who I will be. It's all that gave us identity across that continuum of who and whose and what we think we are, where we think we're going, if we're going to get there, what makes it safe for us. As for me and my house, I runs to the mountain, and the mountain stands by me. That means, translation for me, I do my practice. So I might slip up and have not done it, but I feel my world's not working. I had a training experience. I was leading a team, a statewide team, and in this particular time, there was something going on. And I was working in San Francisco. There was something going on so that all the flights had been delayed. And so when the folks, those of us who were local or who had driven in, we were there. But there were a great number of people on the team that couldn't get in. They were in airports and stuck on planes and that kind of thing. And this was so long ago that we weren't doing cell phones like we're doing now. I don't even know that there was a text. Ooh, Lord, I'm going back. But here's the deal. I always began our meetings centering. I don't remember what we called it because I made up something so that it wouldn't look like spiritual practice in the corporate workplace. So whatever I called it, we always did it. This particular time, by the time folks got there, we were so late and had so much to do because it was the kind of meeting where folks flew in for the day. We had our meeting, and then they flew home that evening. So I was thinking, I'm kind of task-oriented. And so I was thinking, we got to get busy. And we started working on the thing, and finally, we were just hitting each other. It was just, it wasn't working. And finally, somebody said, Adrienne, we didn't do that thing we always do. And I was like, what? You always start us off. And that changes it. And people were like, yeah. And I hadn't. It was just the thing I do. But I hadn't realized the value that others got in going to the mountain and having the mountain stand by them. And so in that moment, I simply said, well, nothing to do but do it, huh? So we stopped and we did it. We did our centering. And this was the first time we'd ever done it, or I had ever done it, with that clear intention. I always felt like I was kind of sneaking it in because I needed it, because I wanted it. But it was in that moment that I really learned that folks recognize the mountain. And in this case, they literally asked for the mountain. Where the mountain at? Because we rest by that. Something else can happen when we do that. That's our safety for going there with each other, for trusting, for being. I run to the mountain, and the mountain stands by me. Here's the thing. It's that life responds to our belief. Not very sexy, but that's it. Life is responding to your energy. Each of us, in what we're believing, it has a certain energy. This is what's just coming to my mind. Those of you who have never been afraid of dogs may not know anything about this. But those of us who those who are terrified, and then somewhere in the middle, they're the folks who are just dependent upon the dog. We're a little uncomfortable. The bigger they get, the more uncomfortable we get. But what I learned is I can have whatever the degree of discomfort is going to be, but I don't want the dog to know it. Because I found that the dog acts different depending upon my energy. And so what I had to do was to train me to think something other than that dog's making me uncomfortable. And sometimes, it starts because often the dog just appears like out of nowhere. And so here I am in my feelings. And I know it's not the dog's responsibility. It's not the owner's responsibility to change my feelings, to change my experience of it. It's mine. So what must I do? I must believe something other than right now I'm uncomfortable. It's true, but it's also true that I am more than uncomfortable. I am uncomfortable. And I can lead with that. I can make that my Trump suit and just go with it. We're going to have a standoff. You the dog, I'm uncomfortable. Y'all can already see where that's going. Or I can decide I am safe. I'm at the mountain. See, I don't have to run nowhere, but in mind, I must. I must get out of this sense of fear and the absence of safety and get myself into a presence of being safe. And maybe liking the dog. If I'm really good at it at a particular time, I'm not always. This is not a mountaintop. I talk about running to the mountain, but this is not a mountaintop teaching. I'm not teaching from the mountaintop. I'm speaking from wherever I find myself in any given moment. It's an adventure in faith, after all. I could be anywhere. Anywhere. But in that moment where I can calm myself, where I can see beyond fear and doubt and all of the stuff that is constricting. You see, there's thoughts. It's all energy. It's all energy. So those barriers that Ernest Holmes talks about, they're energetic barriers. And so there are thoughts that the energy of those thoughts are constrictive. When I'm thinking those thoughts, I can literally, well, I guess it's more figuratively, feel myself shrinking. My consciousness, my heart, my ability, it's just getting smaller and tighter and tighter. But in any moment, what? I can run to the mountain. And the mountain supports me. That shift in my thinking, that shift in my intention changes everything. So I can then stand. And in a moment, I might be, that's a pretty dog. Look at how well groomed that dog is. Or I can now see, I can see something different in that moment. I can know something different. I can betcha feel something different in that moment. I can be grateful, which is, I tried to say last week, I called it magic, thinking somebody might be more interested. Because it isn't magic. But sometimes what you call a thing gets folks more engaged in it. Because somebody like, oh, magic, good. Oh, it's just plain old gratitude. Excuse me. Pardon me. Here's the thing. I have no idea how many times I've already said that, just so you know. But this is a thing I want to make sure that I share with you. Because it kind of blew my mind open. It's Ernest Holmes. It's found in his seminal work, The Science of Mind. The Science of Mind is the title of it, and it's referred to by students who study the philosophy, the textbook. And in it, Ernest Holmes writes, "In our ignorance of the truth, we have misused the highest power we possess. So great is this power, so complete is our freedom in this power, so absolute the domain of law through it, that the misuse of this power has brought upon us the very conditions from which we suffer." Let me just say that I understand, I really do, that some parts of this philosophy, the way we teach it, if you just hear a quote, and if you're going through a difficult time, there are parts of this that could piss you off. There are parts of this that could make you downright angry or bristled. Like, how dare you? I'm doing the best I can. But I need to tell you, like with everything else, if you've ever been active in any sport, if you ran a little track, try telling the coach, I'm doing the best I can. You know what I mean? And here's the thing. I say that with great confidence because you say that to the coach, and then the coach puts you through something, and you realize that wasn't the best. There's an expanded best within you. So let me just say to you right now, I feel you. I see you doing your best. I'm here. You don't need me if you just gonna do that. The only reason to tune in, the reason to take the classes, the reason to be about the thing, the teaching, the philosophy, the activities that we offer or suggest for you to engage in would be if you are willing to grow I am as I have been. I am as I am right now. I am as I will be. If you're willing to take responsibility that all of that is happening, I hear you. Say it under your breath and then get over it. I'm doing the best I can. Just have that moment. I'm doing the best I can. And then get in the game. Now, what else can I do? Because if you're really satisfied with where you are, just top to bottom, side to side, in and throughout, you're good, then you're excused. But if you're not, if there's some yearning in your heart, if there's some pain to heal, if there's some discomfort, if there's a greater vision, it could all be phenomenal and you still have a greater vision, then I suggest that you hear this through new ears and see it through new eyes and feel it through a new heart. He says we are bound because we are first free. The power which appears to bind us is the only power in the universe that can free us. Yeah, that means you got to hang out in that until you can discern which is which and how to embrace it all. This is why that gratitude is like magic. It's mystical. Give thanks even if you can't figure out why you're giving thanks, because you know it works. He says, excuse me, this is why Yeshua, the master teacher that the world ultimately came to call Jesus, that's me just putting in the correction here, summed up his whole philosophy with this simple statement: it is done unto you as you believe. The great teacher looked so deeply into nature that she revealed her fundamental simplicity to him. That believe and that as. Believe, the word believe, and the word as. Those two concepts symbolize heaven and hell. And so we suffer, he says, not because suffering is imposed upon us, but because we're ignorant of our true nature. I've come today that we not be ignorant about our true nature. that we get that there is not only something more to us, there's something greater that is happening in us if we would simply allow it, if we'd give it the space required. If we could just run to the mountain and allow the mountain, the truth, to stand by us and in us. You know, Ernest Holmes' axiom, change your thinking, change your life. I say it as change your thinking and you change your life. It doesn't require that you then go to change your life, like that's a separate activity. It's really the consequence. The consequence of you having changed your thinking. Change the way you have ordered your life. So you once saw family, if we double back, you once saw family as not supporting you, not being there. I'm not saying to you make up a lie about it, although if it helps you in the moment, it's a new story. The opportunity would be to reframe that. Maybe that thing you've been telling us about how you doing your best, maybe we could spread a little bit on the family. Maybe we could begin affirming, oh, they probably doing their best. Start with probably doing their best and work your way to they're doing their best. You don't have to like their best, just like we're not necessarily appreciating yours. But we could begin to simply let them off the hook, because the moment we do, we're free. You know the axiom about putting folks in jail requires jailers. So if you hold them in that place where nobody can access it with love and with caring and compassion and understanding, then you got to be the jailer. You got to make sure they don't get out of that. You have to make sure that somehow they're not out having a good time. You've seen people where somebody has decided, I'm not speaking to her. And then they messed up and forgot in a moment. Just simply being them, speaking, and then like, I'm speaking to her. And do you see what you have to do to get back to that shrunken, sunken place? That place where you doubt the hope, where you doubt the joy, where you believe you do not have access to the mountain. Now, if you joined me mid-message, I need you to know I'm not really up here teaching about mountains. That it's a metaphor for what's the most empowering belief we have, where we see our safety, where we know the truth of our being, where we're willing to accept the truth, where we sense our freedom, our sense of freedom. Jen Johns wrote a song entitled Freedom, in which she says, open up your eyes, look right into the sun. Trust that you're worthy. Go stepping into the beyond. Imagine. Make them call you freedom. Make them call you freedom. Out of your knowing, out of your being, out of your willingness to embrace the truth, no matter what. This is Jen Johns with Freedom.
Svikele, ingululeko
Open up your eyes. Look right into the sun. Burn away the fear. Preparing for glory, the presence it is in your heart. Oh, from there is the journey. Go traveling in to the beyond. Imagine. Then they will call you freedom. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ngululeko. Yeah, yeah. Ngululeko. Yeah, yeah. I hope you are dancing. Ngululeko. Dream with all your heart, for you create tomorrow, and you align the stars. So let go and let that vision evolve in your heart, and trust you are worthy. Go stepping into the beyond. Imagine. Make them call you freedom. Yeah, yeah. Ngululeko etu. Yeah. Oh, mina kupela. I kupela. Mina kupela. Oh. Yeah, yeah. Oh, my speakele, speakele, speakele. Ngululeko etu. This song speaks to the idea that we are certainly the one power, the one divine essence, and a part of the one. A theme that we learn in the science of mind teachings, that we do what is ours to do. To be a part of the flow of energy is our calling. It is our responsibility to be free in front of others. That is how we liberate, by disarming and inspiring people to be exactly who they are. Ashe and amen. Mina kupela, ay kupela. Mina kupela, ay kupela. Mina kupela, ay kupela. Mina kupela, yeah, yeah.
And so we begin with this awareness that my dominant thought prevails. So knowing that my dominant thought prevails, I stand right here. I stand firmly in an awareness that I am directing my thought very specifically. And in this moment, I'm directing my thought in the divine recognition of the all in all. I am knowing the living one, the strong one, in all of its aspects that I can possibly envision. I am knowing the love of the divine. I am declaring that Mother, Father, Source is surrounding and enfolding me from top to bottom and side to side. That in and throughout the entirety of my being, God is and all is well. I'm recognizing right here that I'm living the life of God. And that the life of God is living me. Look at here. I'm breathing the breath of God, and the breath of God is breathing me. And that this is true for each and every one of us. All of us, each and every one of us is breathing the breath of God, the breath of the divine, while the breath of the divine is breathing us. That we are living the life of the living one, the strong one, and the strong one, the living one, is living us. So see, knowing that, I know that it's going to be all right. Whoo! I know that everything required for my adventure in faith is provided. I know that there's not a spot where God is not, that there's nothing that is missing from the divine equation required for my love, for my life, for the goodness in my life to be made manifest. Oh, I speak this word from a sense of empowerment, from a sense of knowing that it is done unto me as I believe. So right now I'm getting everything else out of the way, the stuff I used to believe. Can't hamper me in this moment. Can't hold me back in this moment, because I'm willing to believe something else. And even if I can't fully form all that I'm choosing to believe, I am declaring the part I got. God is, I am, all is well. That there is a divine health and well-being that is available to me, available to us, available. And so I'm standing in the gap right now. I'm willing to know whatever it is I must know in order to call this forward, to call it into manifestation, into divine demonstration, that I would know, that I would experience a greater expression of health and well-being. That I know that right now, something quite magnificent is unfolding. I can't say what and for who, but I know it's so. With every fiber of my being, I know it's so. I know it's happening right now. Not because I say it's happening. I'm saying it's happening because it is. I'm just calling it out. That there is a divine healing, a divine revelation, divine goodness right here where each of us is right now. And there's something in this prayer. There's a bit of a key. Picture it as a skeleton key. There's a bit of a key that is unlocking the good and giving each and every one of us direct access to it. It already is. This word is directed to remind us, to open us to this truth, to this experience, to this love. And so I just give it up. I give this word up to the law, which I know is love. And so I'm presenting this word. I'm done. What I know for sure is that it cannot possibly return void, that it must absolutely produce in like kind. Guided, guarded, propelled into the love and law. I know that it's done, and it's done well in God. And so I rest, and I seal this for all eternity by simply saying Ashe. Amen. And so it is. Love matters, y'all. Love matters.